Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Avanti Morocha. Today I'll be cutting craft foam using my machines from the Maker and Explore series to compare which machines work the best with this material and what are the best settings to cut it. Now let's begin. Here I have some sheets of craft foam. This material is available in different thicknesses, but the most common thickness found at the craft store is 2 millimeters. It is important to know that if you are using a Cricut from the Maker series, the clearance of the machine is 2.4 millimeters. If you are using a Cricut from the Explore series, it is 2 millimeters. I cut a foam sheet for the test. This craft foam is 2 millimeters thick, and from Michaels, I have achieved the best results using it. Cricut recommends using the deep cut blade and a strong grip mat when cutting craft foam, but you can also use the standard grip mat as long as it's new or in good condition. As you can see, I'm using the deep cut blade. Before loading the material and to avoid track marks on the material, move the start wheels to the sides of the reel. At the moment, Cricut does not sell this material, so it's important to make a test cut because this product may vary based on the brand you are using. I'm in design space. I have selected Maker 3. For the test cut, insert a circle. Cricut recommends avoiding using pieces smaller than 2 inches when cutting foam. The smaller and more intricate your image, the more likely you will encounter issues. Click on Make It. I don't need to save it. Continue. Select on Matte. Continue. I'll move the circle slightly to the right to avoid tracking marks by the star wheels. Continue. Now select the material, go to Browse All Materials. Before selecting the material, I want to show you the material settings. Go to the bottom of the window, click on Material Settings. Here are the settings for craft foam. The pressure is 180 and the recommended blade is the deep point blade. Here is EVA foam, the pressure is 145 and the recommended blade is the deep point blade. And there is also a setting for a glitter craft foam. I'll be using the settings for craft foam. Close this window and select the material. Now load the material. I'll be using the same setting on Explore 3. Again, I want to show you the material settings so you can see that Explore 3 uses the same settings for this material as Maker 3, but keep in mind this is not always the case. I'll be using these material settings. Close this window and select the material. It is essential to make a test cut since Cricut currently doesn't sell this material, so there will be some adjustments you may need to make based on the brand of craft foam you're using. The cut took about 10 seconds. The cut in Maker 3 is perfect. As you can see, it looks like it's stuck, but this is because I forgot to remove the sticker on the back of the material. Now, the cut with Explore 3 was also good. Now I'll make another cut. Here you can see the cut in more detail. The circle has nice sharp edges, it looks perfect. The star also looks good. Let me show you the base. Here the circle cut was perfect. In the star you can see that the blade seems to struggle more in the sharp angles. This is the cut using Explore 3. The cut looks pretty good overall, but upon closer inspection there are some imperfections in the back, but they are not that noticeable. The star cut also looks good. Now I'll send to cut another 2 pieces. If the cut you make didn't work, you may need to modify the pressure. Here you can see that the blade seems to press and lift the material at sharp angles. It is not a big issue, the results are still pretty good. These are the results with Explore 3, they are okay. Here you can see that the edges are less sharp than those I cut before because craft foam tends to wear out the blade more quickly than other materials. Now I'll be using Cricut Maker and Explorer 2. Now I'm using Cricut Maker, click on Make It, on Matte, Continue, move the circle slightly to the right, Continue, select the material. Now I'll show you again the material settings so you can see there are some variations. Remember, this is an older model compared to the new machines. Maker was released in 2017. I'll be using this setting. Close the window and select the material. Now I'll do the same with Cricut Explorer 2. Make sure the dial of your machine is set to custom. Now select the material. I'll show you again the material settings. Keep in mind Explorer 2 is the oldest machine I'm showing you. It was released in 2015. This machine has less cutting power than the others, requiring more passes. You could also experiment and create a new material with more pressure, for example 180, and give it 2 passes. I'll close this window and select the material. I'm using the deep cut blade in both machines. Don't forget to move the star wheels to the sides of the reel. I want to remind you that the clearance of Cricut Maker is 2.4 millimeters and Explorer 2 is 2 millimeters. Also, if you are using Explorer 2, set the dial to custom. I fast forwarded this part of the video. The cut with Maker is 1 pass, while with Explorer is 4 passes. Both machines did a good job. Now I'll send to cut other pieces using the same settings. The material shifted slightly on Explorer 2, but that was my fault, not the machine. Now let me show you in detail. These are the cuts made with Cricut Maker. Overall the cuts look good. You already know that the blade press and leave the material in sharp angles. Some areas were still attached, but it was really easy to detach. Now I'll remove the other pieces. These are the cuts with Explorer 2. The cuts with this machine are not as clean as the ones with the other machines, but are still good. Now I'll show you how I prefer to cut foam with the knife blade. Keep in mind that the knife blade can only be used with the Maker series. Now I'll make this cut using Maker 3 and the knife blade. There is not a setting to cut this material with the knife blade, but I will show you how I do it. Click on Make It, select on Matte, Continue. I'll move the design to the bottom. This way it's easy to confirm if the cut was made properly without having the machine head or rail on the way. Continue, select the material. Now select the material. I'll show you the material settings so you can see the settings. To cut foam with the knife blade, I use the settings of tooling leather. The pressure is 200 and require 4 passes. However, when I use it for foam, I only need 1 pass. Any setting that uses the knife blade cannot be edited. Close this window and select this material. Now I'll do the same when using Cricut Maker. I'll show you the material settings so you can see there are some variations. Remember, Cricut Maker is older than Cricut Maker 3, so it requires more pressure. Now close this window and select this material. I fast forward this part of the video. It is important to pay attention to the cut. After 1 pass, pause the machine, check the cut. If everything looks good, unload the mat. Now I'll show you the cuts using Maker 3 and Maker and the knife blade, and they look great. If you make a lot of cuts using this material, you will notice that the blade tends to wear out faster. For my experience, this will happen in both blades. As long as you are using the deep cut blade in any of these machines, you'll get good results cutting foam. Remember, the knife blade only works with Maker 3 and Maker. You don't need the knife blade to cut foam. However, if you frequently work with this material, it's a good idea to get one. All these machines do a great job cutting foam, but for me, Maker 3 does the best job. I hope you like this video and find it informative. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. If you are interested in any of the Cricut machines, I'll share the links where you can buy it in the info box below the video. And that's it. See you in the following video. Ciao, ciao!